You were always the smart one, the one who got it quickly, who didn't have to try, who teachers singled out. You're so gifted, they said, and it felt good, didn't it? But now, years later, something feels off. You're stuck, overwhelmed, or just drifting. I used to be so smart, you think. What happened to me? Here's what no one tells you. Being labeled the smart kid isn't just a compliment, it's a trap. When your intelligence becomes your identity, you build your entire self concept on something that should be a tool, not a definition of who you are. Think about it. When was the last time you tried something you weren't immediately good at? How did it feel? That discomfort isn't a sign that you're no longer smart. It's a sign you've been avoiding the very thing that helps people grow: productive struggle. The real problem isn't that you've somehow lost your intelligence. It's that you never learned how to be a beginner. We all know the joke about the person with 47 browser tabs open about productivity who gets nothing done. But for former smart kids, this isn't just procrastination. It's an identity crisis. This disconnect between who you were told you are and how life actually works is the root of that lost feeling. But here's the good news. Understanding this pattern is the first step to breaking free from it. Chapter 1. The Fragile Identity. You're so smart. 4 simple words that shaped your entire identity. But there's a fundamental problem with building your self-worth on something you didn't earn. It creates what psychologists call a fragile identity. See, when your sense of self is built on effortless achievement, you develop a brittle self-concept that can shatter the moment you face genuine challenge. You start avoiding situations where success isn't guaranteed, not because you're lazy, but because you're protecting your very identity. It's like walking around with a name tag that says smart person and being terrified someone will rip it off if they see you struggle. So you stick to what you know. You perfect what you're already good at. You build elaborate systems to avoid confronting new challenges. The tragic irony of the smart kid is spending your childhood being told how exceptional you are, then spending your adulthood afraid to prove them wrong. And we all feel this, whether we admit it or not. That nagging fear that maybe we weren't actually that special. Maybe we just peaked early or got lucky or fooled everyone. This isn't imposter syndrome. It's the inevitable result of tying your worth to an attribute rather than your actions. But your worth isn't determined by how easily things come to you. Your identity shouldn't depend on always being the smartest person in the room. That's not just unrealistic. It's a recipe for exactly the kind of stagnation you're feeling now. Chapter 2. The Perfectionism Paralysis. We need to talk about perfectionism, not as a humble brag, but as the paralyzing force it actually is. For former smart kids, perfectionism isn't about doing your best. It's about avoiding the unbearable feeling of not measuring up to an impossible standard. Think about that project you've been putting off, that idea you haven't started, that skill you want to learn. What's really stopping you? It's not laziness, it's fear. The fear that your effort might not yield perfect results. And if you're not perfect, what are you? As a kid, I thought being smart meant things came easily. As an adult, I realized that's like saying being fit means never having to work out. This creates what's called the perfectionism procrastination loop. You delay starting because you're afraid of doing it imperfectly. Then you rush at the last minute, which guarantees you can't do your best work. Then you have proof that you fail when you try, which reinforces your fear of starting next time. Meanwhile, your browser history is full of how to be more productive articles you've read instead of actually producing anything. Sound familiar? This loop keeps you safe, but small. It protects your identity as a smart person, but prevents you from growing into the person you could become. Breaking this cycle isn't about trying harder. It's about redefining what effort means to you. Chapter 3. The Comparison Spiral. There's a special kind of pain that comes with watching peers succeed while you feel stuck. For former smart kids, this comparison isn't just discouraging, it's identity threatening. The smart kid approach to comparison typically follows a predictable pattern. You see someone succeeding in an area you care about. Instead of feeling inspired, you feel devastated. Not because you don't want them to succeed, but because their success feels like evidence of your failure. What's happening here isn't simply envy. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how success actually works. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, yes, but more importantly, you're comparing their willingness to struggle visibly against your insistence on making it look effortless. We're out here with PhDs in overthinking and certificates in self doubt, watching people with half our potential pass us by because they're willing to be bad at something long enough to get good at it. The comparison spiral gets particularly vicious when you start comparing yourself not just to others, but to a past version of yourself. The one who found school easy, who excelled without trying, who had potential. This creates a no-win situation where present you can never measure up to idealized past you or imagined future you. Breaking free from this spiral requires a radical shift. Stop comparing outcomes and start comparing processes. Don't ask, why aren't I as successful as them? Ask, what are they willing to do that I've been avoiding? Chapter 4. The Fear of Starting Over. There comes a point where you know something needs to change. But then comes the paralyzing question. Isn't it too late? For former smart kids, starting over feels particularly threatening. You're not just a beginner. You're a fallen prodigy. Someone who should know better, who should be further along, who already had their chance. This is what's called the cognitive dissonance of growth, the resistance to skill building that requires beginner status. The smart kid's approach to new hobbies. Step 1. Try it once. Step 2. Get frustrated at not being immediately excellent. Step 3. Conclude you simply don't have natural talent for it. Step 4. Return to your comfort zone and overthink everything. We treat struggling at something new like it's a personal insult to our biography. We expect our intelligence to transfer automatically to new domains. And when it doesn't, we take it as evidence that we're not cut out for this, rather than simply inexperienced. This is the moment of truth, the crossroads where so many former smart kids get permanently stuck. You can continue clinging to an identity that no longer serves you, or you can embrace the uncomfortable but liberating truth. Being a beginner again is the only path forward. Your intelligence isn't the problem. Your talent isn't the problem. The problem is that you've been using these gifts to avoid growth instead of enable it. And that can change today. And hey, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Also, let me know your thoughts on what I just shared. Oh, and there's more. I've just started a Patreon to help support these videos and connect with you more directly. Check out the link in the description if you'd like to join. Chapter 5. The Growth Mindset Shift. Everything changes when you realize that your brain isn't a fixed object. It's more like a muscle that's been skipping leg day for 20 years. This is the essence of what psychologists call the growth mindset. The fixed mindset says, I am smart or I am not. Challenge threatens to expose my limitations. The growth mindset says, I can become smarter through effort. Challenge helps me grow my capabilities. This isn't just positive thinking. It's neurologically accurate. Your brain physically changes through learning. It builds new neural pathways, strengthens connections, and literally rewires itself through a process called neuroplasticity. This continues throughout your entire life, not just during childhood. What does this mean for you, former smart kid? It means that struggle isn't a sign that you're not smart. It's literally the sensation of getting smarter. Those moments of confusion, frustration, and effort aren't evidence you've lost your edge. They're the only path to sharpening it. Think about that for a moment. What if the discomfort you've been avoiding is exactly what you need? What if your fear of not being naturally good at something has been keeping you from becoming exceptionally good at anything? This shift changes everything. Suddenly, effort isn't embarrassing. It's essential. Making mistakes isn't failure. It's data. And being a beginner isn't shameful. It's temporary. But only if you're willing to struggle through it. Chapter 6. Embracing Productive Struggle. Let's get practical about what it means to embrace struggle. I'm not talking about pointless suffering. I'm talking about productive struggle the kind that actually leads to growth. First, you need to distinguish between two types of discomfort: the anxiety of avoidance versus the strain of growth. The anxiety of avoidance is what you feel when procrastinating, overthinking, or staying in your comfort zone. The strain of growth is what you feel when pushing against your current limitations. One keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward, and they often feel surprisingly similar in the moment. If I had $1 for every time I've said, "I'll start tomorrow" on a project, I'd have enough money to pay someone else to do it for me. But the relief of avoidance is always temporary, while the satisfaction of growth compounds over time. Here's a practical strategy: the micro-risk approach. Instead of taking huge leaps, take small daily risks that expand your comfort zone. Can't start that big project? Commit to 5 minutes of imperfect work. Afraid of looking foolish in a new skill? Practice in private until you build minimal confidence. The key is consistent exposure to productive discomfort. Not crushing yourself, not traumatizing yourself, but regularly pushing just beyond your current abilities. This is how you build what psychologists call grit, the capacity to persevere through difficulty toward long-term goals. Remember, your past successes came easily because they were within your existing capabilities. Future growth requires pushing beyond those boundaries, which inevitably feels uncomfortable. That discomfort isn't a warning sign, it's a growth signal. Chapter 7: Finding Joy in Not Knowing. There's a freedom that comes when you finally let go of needing to be the expert. It's called beginner's mind cultivation, the practice of embracing not knowing as liberation rather than limitation. As smart kids, we were rewarded for having answers, for being right, for knowing things. This created the curiosity kill switch, avoiding domains that might reveal our ignorance. But there's extraordinary freedom in admitting "I don't know" and genuine joy in discovering something new. Think about children learning something for the first time. They're not embarrassed by their ignorance, they're excited by the possibility of discovery. When did you lose that? When did learning become about proving your intelligence rather than expanding it? Remember when you could read a book in a day? Now, you can't even read a tweet without checking your email 3 times. Not because you've gotten less intelligent, but because you've forgotten how to immerse yourself in the joy of discovery. This shift requires practicing what psychologists call epistemic humility, embracing "I don't know" as a strength, not a weakness. It means approaching new subjects with curiosity rather than the need to demonstrate immediate mastery. The irony is that this approach actually accelerates learning. When you're not burning cognitive resources trying to appear knowledgeable, you can devote that energy to genuine understanding, and the relief that comes with this shift is profound. You no longer need to be the expert on everything. You can simply be a person who's continuously growing. Chapter 8: Building a Diverse Identity. One of the most powerful transformations happens when you start separating who you are from what you know or achieve. This is what psychologists call identity diversification, developing non-intellectual aspects of your self-concept. For many former smart kids, intelligence became the primary pillar of identity. When that pillar weakens or seems threatened, it feels like your entire self is at risk. Building a more diverse identity creates stability that can weather the inevitable ups and downs of any single aspect of your life. This isn't about diminishing your intelligence, it's about expanding your self-definition beyond it. What else matters to you? What kind of friend are you? What values do you stand for? What brings you joy regardless of achievement? Your intelligence is just one tool in your toolkit. A valuable one, certainly, but not the sum total of who you are. A practical approach to this diversification is the values excavation, defining your personal ethics beyond achievement. What matters to you even when no one is watching or applauding? Kindness, courage, creativity, justice? These core values can become anchors of identity that aren't dependent on external validation. This shift does something remarkable. It transforms achievement from a desperate attempt to prove your worth into a natural expression of your broader self. You're no longer achieving to be someone. You're achieving because of who you already are. Chapter 9: Redefining Success on Your Terms. It's time to ask the question that makes you always reflect. What does success actually mean to you? Not to your parents, not to society, not to your third grade teacher who said you had potential. To you, the person you are now. For many former smart kids, success has been an unexamined concept, a vague notion of exceptional achievement and recognition. But this inherited definition may be at odds with what actually brings you fulfillment and meaning. This is post-capitalist success, redefining achievement beyond traditional metrics of status, wealth, or intellectual prowess. It requires honest reflection. What activities engage you so deeply that you lose track of time? What contributions would give you a sense of purpose? What kind of life would feel both meaningful and sustainable? The most liberating truth is that you get to decide. Your worth isn't determined by grades anymore. Your value isn't measured by how quickly you grasp concepts or how impressively you can speak about them. This isn't lowering your standards. It's humanizing them. It's creating expectations that account for the complexity of being a person, rather than the simplicity of being a smart kid. The path forward isn't about recapturing your former glory or finally living up to your potential. It's about integration, bringing together all parts of yourself, including your intelligence, but not limited to it, into a cohesive whole that can navigate life with authenticity and purpose. You weren't just meant to be exceptional. You were meant to be whole. And that journey, from fragmented brilliance to integrated selfhood, that's the true potential you're here to fulfill. If this resonated with you, remember, the discomfort you're feeling isn't evidence that you're lost. It's a sign that you're ready to grow beyond the limitations of an outdated identity. The very intelligence that feels like it's failing. You can become your greatest asset when directed toward this growth. You have the capacity to analyze patterns, gain insights, and implement changes with remarkable effectiveness once you're willing to embrace the necessary struggle. This transformation isn't instant. It's a practice, a continuous choice to value growth over comfort, authenticity over image, and wholeness over fragmented brilliance. But with each small risk, each moment of productive struggle, you build something far more valuable than effortless achievement. You build genuine capability and a self-concept that can withstand real challenge. So yes, you were the smart kid, but that was just the beginning of your story, not the definition of it. The real question isn't why you feel so lost. It's what you'll discover now that you're finally free to explore. Hey, productive people, I'm Peter, and I'm super excited to share something special with you. If you've been enjoying my content here, you're going to love what I've got over on my YouTube membership. By becoming a member, you'll unlock all the wonderful perks below. Get access to exclusive illustrations, full transcript release, polls for future videos, plus some fun surprises along the way. But it's more than just extra content. It's a way for you to directly support what I do. Your membership helps me keep creating, exploring new ideas, and bringing you even better content. So, if you're ready to take your support to the next level and be part of the inner circle, hit that join button below. I can't wait to see you there.